Yeah. So looking at this that we did, we see that how you start up your database, sort that the batch profile, you start the database first, and to start the database, this is the big key here. To start your database, you must connect with, you must log in as DBA with a DBA privilege. That's a privilege that by default only SIS owns it, right? But SIS can grant it to somebody else, but it's not advisable. We'll always just leave it with SIS. Or you can do connect the, like the second variation here. See, like I have A, this D1, you are actually specifying the SIS and the username. When you actually use that method, it's when you're connecting from a different machine. Let's say, for example, you are connecting from this machine and the database server is here, but you're locked into that machine and the TNS name is configured. You want to shut down the database. You connect with this second method. With that, you actually specify system. You cannot use that one that has the / we saw it is operating system authentication. It means you are inside the machine that has a database. That one works. But if you're in a remote machine, then you must use this second method. Most important, when you use a second method, you're going to add something like this. You're going to do that. You give the connect string of the database. We're going to study connect string today. I did not put that there because we are there, the other day code didn't do the connect string yet. Because you are on this machine and you're logging into the database server over here. And maybe you are the DBA, you're managing 50 databases. On your machine, you're going to have a TLS name that points to all the 50 databases. So for you to specify what database you want, you must do the add. See that add thing? You must use that add for Unix or for that machine to know what database you're going to. So we're going to do that today. Then to start up a database, guys, very simple startup. That's the default method. Startup is the same as you type startup normal. And when you type startup, the database will go through 3 stages. We saw that, right? Instance started, database mounted, database open. Go through those 3 steps. You gotta remember that. Or you could say startup, no mount. That one starts the instance. You say alter database, mount. You mount the database. They say alter database open. If you really would like to do that. But startup, I don't do all those things for you, so never ever go through that. Then you start your listener after you start the database. And guys, remember, like you did today, Emma, if you ever type SQL Plus and you say command not found, right? The main reason is the .bash profile is not source. Your environment is not correct. And the way you test that is by doing that echo stuff. So if I type that and it fails me, then I'll try something like this. You see, I'll try that echo $, Oracle _ home. If I do that right, I expect it to give me the path to Oracle Home. If it doesn't give me that path, that tells you that your environment is not correct. That tells that, hey, you need to source your environment. That's what that is. Okay. Then, but that command, I will do that command just to confirm if Oracle Home is in my path. You see that? If it's not in your path, and all those Oracle utilities that were running will not run. It will tell you that command not found. Then, start your OEM. Start OEM, guys, is EMCTL, Enterprise Manager Control. But when we get to Oracle 12, EMCTL will not be there. That's why I wouldn't really care much about even the exercises on OEM. Okay. Then when the database starts running, when you type that EMCTL, it shows you your URL that you're going to use to connect in the web. So most of the time, if I forget that URL, I'm going to type I'm going to type, oh, and I typed that wrong. No, that's correct, EMCTL. If I forget the URL, right, I type EMCTL status DB console, it will give me the URL. Or if you just type start, it's going to tell you, oh, OEM or DB console running already, but it will give you the URL, that path that you need. And what you need to know there is what you're looking for is the port. Because the port by default is a level 58, but it can change. In your Oracle exam, we're going to ask you about that URL. What is the format? We saw that. The format is HTTPS : / server name, the machine name, : the port, / EM. Yeah, something that you should, as you look at it over and over and over, then you will remember it. Okay? This thing is just looking at it over and over. As you look at it and look at it and look at it and look at it, it will soon just become part of you. And we're talking about starting the database. And you guys notice here, we say you can start it from SQL Plus, right? You can also start your database from that Enterprise Manager, DB console. You can actually shut it down there. Because only they will not ask you that in your exam, so actually we don't really need that. It's not a big, it's 99.9% of the time you never ever start it there. You start it as SQL Plus from. Let me see if I could just show you guys how that works. So like I'm here, get rid of that window. Let me see. I'll come back to that lady's thing. 192. What is my machine's on? Is this one? Yes. So if I go here, you see it there. That means after you see this thing just warning you that it's not secure. But do advance, proceed. Let's go and see if we can shut it down. You can actually shut down your database, your listener, and everything through this thing. But I must be connected as sys, not system, to do that. And in fact, if I click sys, I must pick a sysDBA. Then I do the login. Login. It's often, tell you the truth, at most jobs or the experienced DBAs, they don't depend on OEM at all. Because most of the time it's slow. And sometimes, yes, case sensitive, yes. And sometimes it just takes forever. So don't really depend on it. Never. Experienced DBAs don't. They don't worry about this thing. Okay. Let's do, okay, I'm in here. What shutdown? You see that here? I could do shutdown. Click on this thing. I'll click on that bad boy. Notice here, specify, I want you guys to pay attention. Specify the, what's that? Operating system username and password, which is, who remembers what the operating system username is to log into this machine? Oracle. Remember when you start up this machine, you click Oracle, then type your Oracle password. So that's the operating system user. So that's what they're asking for here. So I type Oracle, and I know a password is the same thing, Oracle. Then database credentials. Now this is your sys that you're talking about. Specify the credentials for the target database. To use OS authentication, leave the username and password fields blank. That you want to use that /. But if you do that here, it's going to fail because we are connected remotely. So I'm connected from my Windows 10 into the Unix machine. I hope you guys know this connection that we do using this Chrome. It's actually like, for example, you can be there, you connect to my database. You know that, right? So it's the same thing. So you are like a client, you're connected from outside. So you cannot use operating system authentication at this point. So we must specify.
Have you found that those last four numbers? Have you found those last four numbers in the URL? That 1158.
How do you find them? EMCTL status DB console, you see it. So if I do that, it must be sysdba. Set as preferred credential. Save. That means it's going to save it after this point. Then now I can do OK. It's OK hidden down here. If I click OK, let's see what happens. Don't do me anything. Let me open another window and I play with that thing and see. So that guy, it should be going down now. This is the same machine here. So if I type that, okay, means that database is still running. If I want to know if it's in mount mode or whatever. Oh, by the way, another way I can easily find out if it's actually going down is to go to the alert log. You guys remember the alert log? CD, how do I get to the alert log? Who remembers? Oracle _ base LL CDY. Yep, D, that means diagnostic, because that's where we go to diagnose problems. Then RDBMS, and the database in question, which is class T in this case. Oops. Oh, I have to put it here. Then the big one, then trace, and there goes my alert log. I can now do tail. You do tail -F alert log. 13, that's like 1 o'clock, right? 13 o'clock is 1 o'clock. Yeah. It's what the time on this thing. I just typed it, it should tell me the time. Nope. So that thing is not going down anything. Hold on, let me see. Oh, are you sure you want to perform this operation? You're supposed to answer a question. So I say yes. So if I say yes, ask me to refresh, it's soon going to show me that that database is going down very shortly. But let's go back again to our thing now, go check. If I do that tail -F alert log, you can see it now. Database going down. You see that? That's a tail -F, not just tail. So it shows you anything that's happening. So it's now instance shutdown. What is coming next after instance shutdown? After instance shutdown is what? Yeah. Yeah, it should be. Yeah, it should be something like that. This mount, this mount, unmount. Let's see. Okay, should be there. It should be database dismounted, then the instance closed. Okay, so that should come up. And in your exam, you're going to see they're going to give you a series. I have to pick which steps are correct. So, but that is just to show you that you can shut down that database in DB console. And if you notice here now, my DB console says internal errors occurred. Check the alert log. You see that? Because at this point, OEM, the database is down, so you cannot do anything in OEM. You can only go find out from the alert log. So let me click OK here and we'll see where it takes us. Click OK. OK. Not going anywhere. Let me click database, see if it takes us back to the main screen. Yeah, just slow. Slow. Okay, here we go. Database is down. See that? Then it's asking you now to log in. Log in. So if we log in back as sys, continue. No. At this point, right? Please specify host credential. See that? It's different from database credential. Sys is database. host is Oracle. So let's try that. Oops, and not caps. Go continue. Host credentials, connection to host. Now see that. You see the arrow pointing down, but the listener is up. You guys see that? And agent fail. I mean, the agent cannot connect. Agent is what actually connects to full data for OEM. It's down. So you look at that, you know, okay, my database is down. If you are using OEM to do that, then you can click startup here. So let's click startup and see. Try to save this thing as default for us. Oracle and sys. Save again for me. Click OK over this way. Okay. So if I click yes, that database should be coming up now. You can see this little progress bar. Startup in progress. Good. So, but those are the kinds of things you should be practicing now. Guys, you can log into it and just play with it. There's nothing you will destroy. You want to start playing with it, simply take a snapshot of your machine and you log in and you just go around. You have to explore. You have to be exploratory. You have to. And 503 service unavailable. Let me research again and see. Continue. Now it's time for me to log in, I think. So if I click on that, it should log me back in. Go here, go check my thing here. Starting background process, database is back up. They all did that from OEM. But normally, you almost have zero question asking you to do this. So that is things you should be practicing. People have to sit on that machine. Otherwise, you buying a great machine is has a defeated purpose. So let's go back. What we want to study now is chapter 4. Chapter 4 in the textbook. Everybody get your textbook. I'm going to whip out that book. Chapter 4, that's your own. We don't have to know everything on that chapter. It's one of the chapters that we just skimmed through. Now we must finish it right now. Chapter 4. Most important chapter will be chapter 5 and 6. But the chapter that we just passed, instance parameters, is simple but so important. Because if you don't understand that, you cannot manage a database. Because managing a database means it. You're checking performance. Performance relies 80% on the SGA configuration. And when you alter that, instance parameters. That's it. So, yep, let's go back down here. Let me go open my book. And chapter 4 would be, and by the way, as I told you guys, every chapter, do all the questions, do the self-test, do the 2-minute drill, read everything. And if you don't, I cannot help you. I can only guide, but I can't help in those things. So let's go to chapter, let me see, go to my classroom, May class textbook. And by the way, we have 3 textbooks. 18C is not yet out. But we're doing this Oracle, all the section we're doing is similar to 12. When we get to chapter 6 and then do 14, then we'll skip to doing 12. No, it's here. It's here a long time. I can't show you before. So let's look at chapter 4. Chapter 4, page 133, Oracle Networking. Guys, the entire computer deals with networking. Means for computers to connect to each other, for you to go online because network has been configured. That's all that this is all about. So the first thing is, number one, configure and manage the Oracle network. Use the Oracle shared server architecture. Remember we talked about shared server and dedicated. You configure them here in network. So we're going to see how to do that. But we already did the most important part, which is configuring the listener. That's how come this chapter is really small. We're not going to spend too much time there really. Because in the exam, you may have about 2 out of 60 questions, you may have 2 or 3 questions on networking. But for the practical part, we have to master it. So, everybody, I'd like for me the first line. Networking is an integral part of the client-server database architecture that is fundamental to all modern relational databases. The Oracle database had the potential for client-server computing from the beginning. Okay, we don't have to read that line. Next paragraph. The default Oracle Net configuration is dedicated server. So guys, once we configure this network, it is dedicated server, not shared. That's what that means. So everybody take note of that particular thing. You would also on that page 134. In a dedicated server environment, listen to this, it's something we talked about in class. In a dedicated server environment, each user process is connected to its own server process. We talked about that, right? Good. An alternative is shared servers. So this shared server, the dedicated server. And for the shared server, where a number of user processes make use of a pool of server processes that are shared by all sessions. Can you catch that? Generally speaking, DBAs have been reluctant to use shared server, but there are indications that Oracle Corporation would like more sites to move to it. Currently, knowledge of the shared server architecture is vital for the OCP exam. We are writing OCA. This is for the OCP, the much higher exam. This book covers the 2 exams. So this book might look difficult because it covers 2 exams. So after you go through this book, that first exam will be a breeze, especially if you do all the exercises and do all the questions. Configure and manage the Oracle network. So that's where we are. How do we configure this thing? Oracle Net is the enabling technology for Oracle's client server architecture. It is the mechanism for establishing. So guys, what is Oracle Net? This is it now. I like this definition. It is the mechanism for establishing sessions against the database instance. That is what this thing is. So, okay, if you ever ask what is Oracle Net or Oracle Network, and I want you to know how it's called. It is called Oracle Net. If you see that first word there, if you note here, it is called Oracle Net or Oracle Network or SQL Net. As a matter of fact, we see that they didn't write that anyway. It's also called this, guys, SQL Start Net. Also called Oracle Network. So whenever you hear Oracle Network, which is the same as Oracle Net. So those names are kind of identical. Those names are identical. So just take note of those names, guys. Oracle Net, Oracle Network, Oracle SQL Net. Whenever you hear them, they mean the same thing. The same thing. As a matter of fact, the other name, right, is called Net 8. So I'm also right. Actually, this is equivalent. It's also called Oracle Net 8. Oracle Net 8. This was when Oracle was still on version 8, and they almost thought that was the end. Oracle never get any better. So they just called it Oracle Net. That was when we had Oracle 8i. There's Oracle Network, Oracle Net 8, Oracle Net, SQL Net. Whenever you hear those words, right, it's the same thing they're talking about. Okay. But what is it used for? It is the mechanism for establishing sessions against the database. So for example, I have a database server here and you all have to connect to that database. You must configure Oracle Net. You can only connect to my database if SQL Net is configured on your machine. That's what it is. Except like DB console doesn't use SQL Net because it uses a browser. Okay. But any other connection, SQL Net will be configured. Okay. There are several tools that can be used for setting up and administering SQL Net. Though it can be done with nothing more than a, there we go, VI. Guys, but there are several tools. Whatever tool is used, the end result is a set of files that control a process. They control one process, guys. And what is that process? The listener. The listener is the main thing, which launches server processes. So what does the listener do? That listener launches server processes in response to connection requests. And that defines the means by which a user will allocate the listener. The user will locate, not allocate. Yes. Relocate. So, very simple. Everything we have done so far. Guys, remember this. SQL Net, right, is simply a mechanism through which we configure client machines so that they establish sessions against the database. That's all. And they configure that to one process. The process running on the database server is called the listener. That listener process, once it's running, users can connect through it. So let users in. So, and to configure this thing, we can use three things. See, they don't mention it here, but remember somewhere they said you can use there are many tools you can use to configure this thing, right? So guys, very simple. We're going to write three tools for everybody write down in your notebook. Three tools for configuration of Oracle Net. Remember, Oracle Net is also called SQL Windows Stars Net. Three tools. And for those three tools, very easy. Number one, you could do it manually with a text editor. Text editor, like VI. Number two, Number 2 tool is called Net Manager. Oracle Net Manager, if you want to call the whole thing, it is Net Manager. And remember, Net Manager is NetMGR. That's how you invoke it. And number 3 is Network Configuration Assistant. Network Configuration Assistant. That one, you invoke it simply by typing netcar or netca. 3 things, very simple. For experienced DBAs, they just open that file and they just take an existing file, right? Open it and edit it. Change a few things inside, that's it. No, use it just to configure the listener. The listener is the main thing in Oracle Network. So, with that, let me see if there's any other thing on this page. Otherwise, guys, basically, once we go use those 3 files, right? That's all you really need to know about Oracle Network, practically, practical side of things. So let me see if there's anything we could highlight on this page again. Okay. This second paragraph under Oracle Net and client. Oh, by the way, I want you guys to take note of that. Client server architecture, client server paradigm. What is the client server in computers? Can everybody figure out what a client server is? After we've done server process, we've done shared server and dedicated servers and server processes. What is a client server paradigm? In other words, what's the client server concept? What is client server all about, in other words?
The client to a database.
So, no, just a connect a client to a server. It may not even be a database, maybe an application. Many clients. One of the mentioned word server. Server is typically a machine or a process that can handle many requests. Many people can connect to it. And one dimension client is their clients, with many of them. So the client server paradigm, the concept is that they have a server machine running server processes on a server operating system, and the clients from everywhere connect to it. So it's the same thing for this Oracle Net. But now, the process on the server that is receiving the clients is the listener. And the clients also have some credentials or some file that will point them to that server and to the database. And all of those will be defined inside a file called tnsnames.ora. The listener that will configure is inside a file called listener.ora. That is tnsname.ora. I'm going to see those very shortly. Let's just zoom through this quickly so that we go to do the practical side of this thing. So if you've highlighted me this one line down here, that a user interacts with a user process. This is the software that is run on their local terminal. For example, it could be Microsoft Access plus an ODBC driver on a Windows PC. It could be something written in C language, so that some software. It could even be your old friend, SQL Plus. Because we all, guys, as a DBA, your most worked in tool is SQL Plus. As a DBA, right? 80% of the time you're using SQL Plus. So we're going to study SQL Plus from the 20th. When I have that free class, you guys have to join in. We're going to do SQL Plus there. Okay. SQL Plus, very important. When whatever is the purpose of the user process is to prompt the user to enter information that the process can use to generate SQL statements. In the case of SQL Plus, the process merely waits for you to type something in. A more sophisticated user process will present a proper data entry screen. In other words, guys, listen. This whole thing, we have the database, and the client could be any application, maybe SQL Plus, maybe SQL Developer. We're going to install SQL Developer tomorrow. Maybe some other application, any application that's connecting to the database is a client. From your desktop, you're connecting to that database, you are the client, and the server is the database, okay? Let's see the next paragraph down. The server process runs, as a matter of fact, I want to highlight that really big. What is that? The server process. When you get to catch that, the server process runs on the database server machine and executes SQL. It receives from the user process. When you get to take note, it's all the same architecture we did before. So the server process, as we saw, right? Remember, is on the database server, and the server process receives requests from the client, processes the request, and brings back the results to the client. That's what they're talking about here. This is your basic server client split. A user process generating, so guys, what does a user process do? It generates SQL and server executes it. So a user process does that and server process executes it. So, oops. Not that, underline. The execution of SQL statement goes through 4 stages. Everybody pay attention to this one now. And I'm going to write this, and I'll wait. Everybody's going to write this down in their book. Guys, I think this is the only time in this book that we see that the execution of SQL statement goes through 4 stages. I really want to mark that 4 stages. What are the 4 stages when you give a SQL statement to Oracle? Number 1, pass. So it does it in different things: pass, bind, execute, fetch. So those are the 3 steps. Oops. Good. No, the 4 steps. This is 4, yes. The 4 stages. So every SQL statement that you give Oracle, okay, Oracle will take that SQL statement, it will take it through 4 stages before it gets done with the SQL statement. Number 1, it does parsing. So what is parse? So I want everybody in their textbook, if you have your textbook, we first of all going to mark these words. What is the parse phase? Go to the next page. The next page will be the bind phase. 4 lines down. Then more lines down, you're going to get the fetch phase. Oop, okay, I have execute somewhere. Execute phase is deep inside. So we should have an idea of what each of these phases does. So I give a SQL statement like this. Select first name, last name from student. Where first name and last name. No, let me change that. Select first name, last name from student. where say where gender equals male. If you give that statement to Oracle, Oracle take that statement, the first thing it's going to do is it's going to pass that statement. After it passes the statement, it's going to create the bind variables, store them, and then execute the statement. Once it executes the statement, means it now knows where the data is. Fetch now, no, when it executes the statement, it finds the data. Then fetch is now take the data and give it to the user. So let's kind of just see what this is all about. Let's go back here. Go back to the beginning for on the pass phase. So in the pass phase, your server process works out what the statement actually means and how best to execute it. Passing involves interaction. So guys, what is passing? Passing involves interaction with the shared pool and the instance. Shared pool memory structures are used to convert the SQL into something that is actually executable in the bind phase. No, that's actually executable, that's all. So let's end there again, talk about that fetch. That fetch, let's say in that process, that in the pass phase, your server process works out what statement or what the statement actually means. In other words, guys, it takes a statement, right, convert it to machine language. So the machine will understand the statement, what it actually means. Then after that happens, it will now actually generate what they call an execution plan. You see, the next one says, and how best to execute the statement. So that particular one, I wanted to write on top of it, execution plan, or generates. Execution plan. Then after that, the shared pool memory structures are used to convert the SQL into something that is actually executable. In the bind phase. So now let's talk about the bind phase. The bind phase, what is that? Bind. In the bind phase, any variables are expanded to literal values. Then the execute phase will require more use of the instances SG and possibly the database. During the execution of the statement, data in the database buffer cache will be read and updated, and the changes written to the ready-lock buffer. So the execution phase is a big phase, guys. But if the relevant blocks are not in the database buffer cache, your server process will read them from the data files. This is the only point in the execution of a statement where the database itself is involved. So during the execution phase, guys, that's when Oracle actually goes to the data files and take the blocks that have your data, reads them and put them in the buffer cache during the execution phase. All right. So let's see the next thing. But if the relevant blocks are not written, finish with that. Let's see the next one. And finally, the fetch phase of the execution cycle is where, what is this one, guys? Where the server process sends the results set generated by the statements execution back to the user process, which should then format it for display. You see that? So at the first fetch phase, the data is now taken and converted in a readable format. So it's taken now, converted from binary back to readable format and presented to the user. But guess what? It's good to know this part, but it's nothing that you really see even in your exams. But it's good to understand how Oracle processes a SQL statement, those stages, and have an idea. OracleNet provides the mechanism for launching server processes to execute code on behalf of the user process. You guys see that? So let's highlight that line, that paragraph down there. Is OracleNet. This is referred to as establishing a session. Therefore, OracleNet is responsible for maintaining the session. So it's the job of OracleNet to maintain the session, guys. Transmitting SQL from the user process to the server process, and fetching results from the server process back to the user. So this OracleNet is a big thing. A very, very important part. But the thing is, the beautiful thing is, we don't have to do much to change anything about it and how it functions. Figure 4.1 shows the various components of a session. A user interacts with a user process. A user process interacts with blah, blah, blah. So let's look at the diagram down there. We don't have to go reading this again. This kind of mimics the same things we've been talking about. So if you notice here on this diagram, first is the user. It sends its request. Once that user says John logs into the machine, creates a user process. Then it sends, the only way to talk to Oracle is through a SQL statement. Once you log in as user John, now you can type select or update or insert SQL statement, and you send it to the database, and it is the server process that will receive that. When that server process receives it, the server process, also write it, the server process, this whole thing. Once it receives it, it will then take the data, break it into machine language, do all of that stuff, go search for the data, and after it searches, finds it, ends up seeing the data, then that fetch part comes in when it gives the data back to the user. So, server process, read-write buffer cache to the instance, then write to radio logs at the same time. Then the instance write to data files and online radio log files. Read data from data files. So the server process also reads data from data files. Then, of course, writing to the data files of which process? Who remembers? Yeah, DB writer. So DB writer writes to the data file. Okay. So guys, OracleNet. An interaction with an instance is via a server process. Yep. The only way you talk to a database instance is through a server process. So this is this statement here I'm reading, guys. This statement, right? Oops. Can write. Okay, I cannot write from that. So an interaction with the instance is via a server process, and the instance itself interacts with the database through background processes like DB writer, log writer. The link between the user process and the server process is maintained by OracleNet. So guys, what does OracleNet do? It connects, it's used to connect a user process or a client to, by OracleNet, or rather, OracleNet is used to connect a user process to a server process, and will typically be across local area network. Okay, hey guys, I think that's all the theory we need to know about this thing. The book has a lot more information than we need for ourselves at this point of studying Oracle. So I'll just highlight two lines on each page after this point. On that first page is the basics, the basis on which the whole thing is written. A word on OracleNet and communication protocols. I want to just highlight something. The last two lines on the first paragraph about Internet or IPC. What is that? Inter-process communication, IPC protocol, proprietary to the operating system. This is also available to OracleNet for local connections. So OracleNet uses IPC, as a matter of fact. It uses TCP/IP to be specific. Let's see if there's another thing. Establishing a session. Let's go further down and let's see if there's anything for me to write. Okay, let's highlight me the first two lines. When the user process wishes to establish a session against an instance, they may issue a command like this. So send that command, connect /admin123 at Oracle. Of course, if they are using a graphical user interface, they won't type in the command line, but will be prompted to enter the details into a logon screen. But one way or another, that is the command the user process will generate. It is now time to go into what actually happens. We won't be reading this. Oh yeah. I want to type it a tiny little bit. I want you guys to see. Look at that statement that says connect store. Everybody pay attention to this connect store thing here. Let's spend a few minutes here and then we can move on. Guys, if you look at this connect store /admin123 at ORCL11G. Who knows what store admin123 represents here? Anyone? Whenever I see anything like this, what comes after the / is a password. Password in this case. So guys, I want you to write the password inside your book. That's a password. And then this other thing here, at ORCL11G is a connect string. And store is the username. You're always going to have connections like this, guys. If we're doing this, you want to shut down the database to start up, or at the end of it, you put as sysdba, if they have the sysdba privilege. So it's good to just master this particular little line. That is how you are connecting to almost every database. Especially, but that works from within a database, means you're connected already. Or you did connect with, remember we did connect /no-log. So if you type that, then you have to type this thing. Let me see if there's another thing to take note. So, of course, if they're using graphical user, but it is now time to go into the data. First, break down the command into its components. So let's break down that command into its components. There is a database user. So store in that statement is database user, followed by a database password, admin123, and the two are separated by / as a delimiter. See those two things. / is nothing but a. Who knows what a delimiter is? Anyone? Yeah. That limits something in here. Hello. Does not. A delimiter. Delimiter. Google that K, let's see. Just Google delimiter.
Limit means you are limiting something. When you say delimiter, it's not limited.
Okay, let's see what it really means in computers.
Yeah.
Because we're going to see that word a lot.
The sequence of one or more characters used to specify the boundary between separate independent regions.
Wait, you should define.
To specify the boundary between separate independent regions in plain text or as a data.
Yeah. So the forward slash in this case, right here, separates the username from the password. That's what that means. That is a line there. So let's see that at. That at symbol, followed by the connect string. Very important. Then there is an at symbol followed by connect string. At symbol is an indication to the user process that a network connection is what? Required. Okay, I'll just highlight that section. What happens if you avoid that at symbol? If the at and the connect string are omitted, then the user process would assume, guys, what's that? That the instance you wish to connect to is running on the local machine. Remember, only use that at to connect to a machine that is not our default machine, or instance that is not our default, or an instance on a machine somewhere else. A remote machine, in other words. If the at and the connect string are included, then the user process will assume that you are requesting a network connection to an instance on a remote machine. In fact, you could be bouncing off the network card and back to the machine onto which you are logged. Okay. That connection thing, maybe let's just stop all of us. I will do a little bit of hands-on just for you guys, for everybody to wake up. I will do this. And everybody seems tired and sleepy. Just Monday, right? It's not even Thursday. Thursday is tired. It's the day that we're supposed to be tired. Everybody log into your machine. Oh, let me see. No, we didn't configure yet, so we cannot do it. See, where is the place to do the connection thing? Yeah, that's true. Open them for us.
Just open the door.
Connecting to a local instance. So guys, whenever I see that ad, most times you're connecting to a remote machine, a remote database. But again, if you have many databases on the same machine, you use it to differentiate from one database to another. Connecting to a local instance, let's see. This is one that may come in the exam. Even when you connect to an instance running on your local machine, you still use Oracle Net. So remember that. All Oracle sessions use Oracle Net Protocol to implement the separation of user code from the server code. But for a local connection, the protocol is IPC. Say, call me that word IPC. So if the local connection, the protocol is just IPC. This is the protocol provided by your operating system that will allow processes to communicate within the host machine. So what is that IPC? Highlight with that whole section. This is the only type of connection that does not require a database listener. And guys, so when you're connecting locally using that IPC, you don't require a listener. Indeed, local connections do not require any configuration at all. The only information needed to tell your user process which instance you want to connect to. Wait a minute. Then the only information needed to tell your user process which instance you want to connect to. Okay. IPC. Remember that there could be several instances running on your local computer. You give the process this information through an environment variable. Watch this now. This is why we set that environment variable Oracle seed. It's very, very important. If you have many, many instances running, let's say if you have many instances running and you don't really need to configure SQLnet or OracleNet, but you could simply connect to it using your environment variable. And this is where, guys, everybody, when you hear, I want you to circle this part where you say environment variable. I write out here $ Oracle C. Oracle _ C. That's what it is. And how do you set that thing? What I'm going to do this here. This is how you set it. Export Oracle C equals. You enter that, boom. You have a new Oracle seed you are working with. Guys, it's much easier. It's so complex when you read this thing and you're tired. It's almost like it looks hard. It's not. So if you have 50 databases, right? You want to connect to database class P. Just type export Oracle C class P. If you type SQL Plus, you'll be connecting to class P. Especially they're all running from the same Oracle home. Okay. We have not done this little query. Everybody look at this query here. That query is from V $instance. You know the one of the data dictionary, right? And dynamic performance view. Data dictionary is made up of 3 groups of files: user underscore, all underscore, DB underscore. And dynamic performance view start with V $, then table of view name. And V $, table of view name is the same as V underscore $. You must saw something like that. Okay. Let's see the next one. Go to the next page, right? Nothing here. Next page talks about name resolution. Almost time to go home. So let's see here. Yeah, also we'll stop doing something practical soon. When connecting using SQLnet, guys, when connecting using SQLnet, the first stage to work out exactly, is to work out exactly what it is you want to connect to. This is the process of name resolution. In other words, right? You're connecting, you put that at and you're going. First thing, was where do you want to connect? If your connect statement includes the connect string, this is important. We've seen this word connect string over and over and over in this section. Connect string. OracleNet has to work out what is meant by OR whatever. This means that the string has to be resolved with certain pieces of information. Assume that this is TCP, the IP address on which the database listener is running, the port. So whenever I see that thing, guys, they're looking for IP. They'll be looking for, oops, come on, IP address, the port on the listener of the incoming connection, and the name of the instance. They look for three things. For this name resolution, guys, listen, you're here, and you put at, you want to connect to my machine. Oracle find out, number one, what IP address of the machine you're going to. Do you know my IP address? If it finds out, you say good. Then number two, what listener port? Number 1521 is the default. If the listener port is different, it's not going to connect. Then after he sees the port and he finds that port open, then it's going to find out what instance name. What is the name of the instance you're connecting to? Once you give that information, then it will be happy, it can let you in, which need not be the same as the connect string. Often, the instance name is the same as the connect string. We see they tell us that don't worry, it need not be, it should not necessarily be, to which you wish to connect. Okay. There are variations. Rather than an IP address, the connect string can include a host name. So it can actually be a host name instead of the IP. Oops, instead of putting the IP address, like in our case in class, we shall be using the host name, not the IP, which then gets further resolved to an IP address by a DNS server. Rather than specifying an instance by name, the connect string can include the name of the service. It can even include the name of the service, which in a rack environment could be made up of a number of instances. In a single instance environment, services, services can still be used, perhaps to assist with blah, 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 blah. So we are going to look at that. So guys, when we configure the listener and the TNS name, what information is inside? That's all that this thing is talking about. It sounds way more complex than it really looks. But I'm just going through this for going sake, guys. When we're going to do this thing, you'll see it is probably the easiest concept in this whole book. SQLnet. Launching a server process. How is a server process launched? The database listener running on a server machine uses one or more protocols to monitor one or more ports on one or more network cards for incoming connection requests. So guys, what does a database listener do? Look at that. They're telling us that that listener running on a server machine, on the database server, not on the client, uses one or more protocol. So it uses a protocol, TCP/IP in particular, to monitor one or more ports. So remember we did port 1521. You could actually give as many ports as you want. On a network card for incoming requests. So all incoming requests must come through that port. So for a very busy database, right, you create different ports on different network cards. You create different ports, and they are on the, because the network card can be busy. The network card is just a small card. It lets connections come through to go into the database. So if you have a database like Amazon, that you have thousands of workers every minute connected, You want to have many network cards, different ports. Okay. You can further complicate matters by running multiple listeners. Yeah, you can even run multiple listeners if you want to on one machine, and one listener can accept connections requests for a number of instances. So you have 10 databases. You could have one listener work for all the 10 databases. So you could create each 10 listeners or 2 or 3, whatever, who cares? When he receives a connection request, in other words, when a listener receives a connection request, the listener must first validate whether the instance requested is actually available. If instance is running, or it's when it's not running, what's that message?
Yes.
Okay, that's to check how it is running. But if you type SQL locking and the instance is not running, what's the message? Idle instance. Assuming that it is, the listener will launch a new server process. So guys, but hear this. Hear this tiny little piece. It is the listener that launches those server processes. Not about server processes. Listener is the one that launches it. Thus, if you have 1,000 users logging on concurrently to your instance, you will be launching 1,000 server processes. This is known as the dedicated server architecture. Remember, 1,000 people, 1,000 server processes, only in a dedicated server architecture. Later in this chapter, you will see the shared server alternative. So the shared server alternative, where each user process is handled by a dedicated dispatcher process, but shared by multiple user processes. That's for you. Cool it down. Yeah, so hold on. I bought the sites Saturday, go Friday. Now I bought the last Thursday. Right? Yeah, last Thursday. Okay. So let's see. Guys, this is all concept that we had studied before. If you actually begin to think about it. The only thing we've learned now, because before we did not say the listener launches the server process. Now we know the listener process would launch a server process to the users. Anyone they're shared or dedicated. Okay. Hey guys, this is much easier than it sounds. I can tell you nobody should get discouraged looking at this after work all day long. You're tired, I know. But, okay. In the TCP environment, each dedicated server process launched by a listener will acquire a unique. Okay, I don't have to read that anymore. Don't bore you guys. Let's see the exam tip, if there is. If the database listener is not running, no new server process can be launched because the listener launches the server processes, right? But this will not affect any existing sessions that have been established. Hey guys, hey, my database is running, 1,000 people connected. I shut down the listener. The users who are already in the database will not be disconnected. No, they will not be disconnected. But no new user can come in because all the server processes are quiet now. But that listener is not there to launch them anymore. So that is, as long as I think that is the big thing that you might see like in those examples. Let me see. Okay, creating a listener. Hey, now is the practical side. Okay, I want to wake up now. How do you create this listener? That listener that was saw the other day, right? We all know Net Manager, right? You go create that thing, and to start the listener, LSNRCTL, listener control utility. So if they ever ask you, you say the listener control utility. Okay, so the listener, guys, Everybody must know this file from today. There is a file called listener.org. So the listener is defined. Yeah, let me come. The listener is defined in the listener in a file called listener.org. Today, we're all going to see that file. Everybody's going to open it and look at it. Whose default location is. So guys, it could be somewhere else. But by default, it is. Everybody must know this location too. Oracle Home Network Admin. Already in this class, we have seen Oracle Home DBA, Oracle Home D. Now we'll see Oracle Home Network Admin. As a minimum, the listener.org file must include a section for a listener, which states its name and the protocol and the listener and the listening address it will use. You can configure several listeners in one file. Oops, I have to highlight that in such a big red pen. But guys, you can configure several listeners on the same file, but they must all have different names. You can have more than one listener in the same listener.org file. But at a minimum, what is inside that file is what matters to us. What is inside? Let's see. Must include a section for one listener, which states name of the listener, the protocol, and the listening address. We're going to see all of that now. You can run a listener completely on defaults with a listener.org file. Let me see. Yeah, without. Thank you. So you could run one by default without a listener.org file. It will listen on whatever address resolves the machine's host name on port 1521. You see that? So we use by default 1521. So that port, we remember that port. Always configure the listener.org file to make your OracleNet environment self-documenting. So let's go to the next page. And after that, I think it should be hands-on, and then we'll skip every other thing in this chapter. We go to the end of that chapter. And so let's talk about this listener.org file located in Oracle Home Network Admin. As with other files used to configure OracleNet, listener.org file can be very fuzzy about seemingly trivial points of syntax, such as case sensitive. Guys, hear that? So the listener.org file is case sensitive. If you write something in caps in it, you better beware. White spaces, so even blank spaces, and even abbreviations. For this reason, many DBAs do not like to edit it by hand, though there is no reason not to. Oracle provides 3 graphical tools. I give you guys only 2. So let's 3 graphical tools to manage OracleNet. What are the 3? So the 3 for us that we must know would be OEM, Enterprise Manager, Database Control or Grid Control. Now, Oracle 12 has one called Enterprise Express, the Net Manager, and Netcar. So guys, so if you ask, how can we manage this thing? We're going to go back to we are going to go back to the page where I wrote those things down, and we're going to add number 4. So I gave you guys just 2 tools and manual. Now I gave 3. One was manual, and then net card, net manager. So go add OEM. Everybody should go back to that note. Number 1, OEM. Number 2, net manager. And number 3, net configuration assistant. The latter two tools are both written in Java. There is considerable overlap between the functionality of these tools. So net manager and net card do almost the same thing. Though there are a few things that can only be done in one or the other. This is an example of a listener.aura file. Look at that example.
So number 4 was what?
Number 4 was OEM. Yeah, go back to where we wrote 1, 2, 3 for how to edit that thing. Just go put number 4. OEM. OEM. All right, OEM. Remember, it can be DB, it can be database control, grid control, whatever. There are different types of OEM, of OEMs. Good. So let's see this example. Hey, let's all look at this. Guys, watch here. If you're looking at this example here, that first name, that first one is the name of the listener. And then if you come further down, you're going to see the host name and the port. Those are the 3 things they told us. To configure the listener, and the protocol. You must give a protocol, TCP. So to configure a listener, it is 1, 2, 3, 4 things you gotta give. So name of the listener, the protocol, the host, and the port number has to be given. Then I should actually go further. You add the database name there in it. And here, where it says list 2, this is another name, another list. So this thing here has 2 listeners. And if you look, the second listener is listening on port 1522. And if you notice there, that one has, it has a host domain name or the global database name. Okay, let's see here. The first section of this file defines the listener called listener. See this here, that means that monitoring the local host name on the default port 1521. The second section defines another listener called that, which is that guy. This listener monitors port 1522 on both the host name address and a loop back address. Woohoo! New word, loop back. Look at that. So that loop back address is that address up there. Oops. So often when you see this kind of address, you will always see something written like this, guys. This. Loop back address. Hey, Kay, can you Google for us what is loop back address? Put it in a group. The other one did you put it in a group? Okay, just put it there. I'm sure it's still on the screen. It's not on the screen, then I know you're busy doing something else. Eh? Oh, you pasted loop back?
I replaced loop back.
That's smart. Okay. 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 We'll do loop back in the group.
Oh, you need to add it.
Hmm?
You need to add my number.
Oh. Send me a text. Hey, Mazula, can you go to that group and add K to the group? I will see your phone book. Are we there? Yes, yes, yes. To create a listener, you need to do nothing more than create an entry in the listener.aura file. Okay, let's go database registration. Whatever. Because the rest of that section is manual. It's something we're going to do down there. Database registration, what is that? A listener is necessary to spawn server processes against the instance. In order to do this, it needs to know what instances are available on the computer on which it is running. A listener finds out about instances by by the process of registration. Let's go to the next page. Okay, let's read the exam tip down there. The listener and the instance must be running on the same computer. Hear that is a must, as a matter of fact. Unless you are using rack. If you're using rack, it's different. In rack environment, any listener on any computer on the cluster can connect you to any instance on the computer. So guys, typically the listener is on the machine that has the database. Then let's go to the next page. If you look at the next page, you see those. If you see, we saw those windows already. We're going to see them again today. We're going to play with all of them. So let's go to page 142. Matter of fact, I think we must have finished almost everything we're supposed to know for our level for OCA. But let's just see if there's any other thing. For me, in the next side, highlight for me the first line at least. There are two methods for registering an instance with a database. And what are the two methods? Static and dynamic. So, for static registration, so static registration, dynamic registration. So for static registration, what do? You hard code a list of instances in the time, in the listener.aura file, excuse me. Dynamic registration means that the instance itself at startup time locates a listener and registers with it. So guys, so it's good to know this. Everybody put a little star near this one about static and dynamic registration. And I think the one we did was the static one. Static one means you yourself, you type the name of the instance in the listener. Static registration. Let's just see a tiny little bit more about it. In general, as a general rule, dynamic registration is a better option. But there are circumstances when you will resort to static registration. Dynamic registration was introduced with AI, but if you have older databases that your listener must connect users to, you will have to register them statically. As some applications may require static registration, typically management tools, who really cares? So some applications may require the static one. To register a database or to register an instance statically, add an appropriate entry in the listener.aura file, such as blah, 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 blah. So you enter a line like this. in your listener. The entry will configure the listener called list2. So that's the listener name, list2. Oops. To accept connection request for an instance, OCP11G. So that is OCP11G right there. It says nothing about whether the instance is running or even exists at all. The directive Oracle Home is only required if the database listener is not running from the same Oracle Home as the instance. So you don't actually have to put Oracle Home even. You only put it if the database is running from a different home. If this is the case, then this directive will let the listener find the executable file that it must run to launch the server process. Usually, this is only necessary if configuring a listener to make connections to instances on different versions. Okay, don't worry about that. Dynamic instance registration. Let's see what that one is. Then after that, we would soon do some little bit of practice. What is dynamic instance registration? What is an instance again, people? Hope all remember what an instance is. Background processes plus SGA, and an instance has a name, must be given a name, and typically the name is the name of the database. Except you want to have a headache to have many names, you change it. But by default, we leave the instance name same as the database name, same as the service name, same as what else? The global database name. We'll leave it the same. Same as the TNS name. What was that one? The TNS name called again? We did TNS. Okay, we'll come back to it. Let's talk about dynamic now. Dynamic instance registration. They say this is preferred method by which an instance will register. So preferred method, guys, by which an instance will register with the listener. The initialization parameter local listener tells. So guys, so for you to do this, you must set local listener. And this parameter tells the instance the network address that it should connect, it should contact to find a listener with which to register. At instance startup time, the PMON process will use this parameter to locate the listener. So guys, at instance startup time, PMON will use that to locate the listener and inform it of the instance's name and the names of services that the instance is offering. The instance name is defined by, guys, you guys see this parameter now. Instance name is defined by instance name. And the service names parameter will have defaulted to this suffix by the DB domain parameter. So there's a DB domain parameter. So just highlight me those few lines, which will default to null. It is possible to create and start additional services at any time, either by changing the value of service names parameter. So there is a service name parameter. Oops. What does that service name parameter do? Which can be a comma delimited list, or programmatically using the RDBMS service package. Any change to the services must be registered with the local listener. If this is not done, the listener won't know what services are being offered. Who really cares? Let's go to the next page and see if there's any other thing there for us to look at. The next page, if you're with us, talk about PMON. The PMON process will register automatically once a minute. But anytime subsequent to instance startup, you can force a registration. Okay, guys. So PMON does what? Register automatically once a minute. So every minute, PMON is checking. Interesting. Alter system register. That's how I can force register an instance in the listener. You will need to register your instance with the listener with alter if you have restarted the listener, or if you started the database instance before starting the listener, or you can wait a minute. PMON checks every minute to make sure all instances are registered. If not, we do alter system register. Dynamic registration is a better option, ensures only the running instances and available services are registered with the listener, and also that there are no errors in the instances names. So that one is much better for many reasons. It is also too easy to make mistakes here, particularly if you are editing the listener.aura file by hand. Also, when the instance shuts down, it will deregister the listener automatically. So guys, so we're going to try both and see how it works. Oracle 9 dynamic registration requires no configuration. So you guys see that? It requires no configuration using port 1521. All instances will automatically look for a listener on the local port on that port and register themselves. Wow. So all we need to do is start. See, you remember how when you started the database, when you configure the listener, all we're supposed to do is okay. Just do start listener or move on. Okay. Identifying the host name and user the local port listener and registering themselves. Okay. Alter system. So guys, so this is what you do. However, your listener is not. However, if your listener is not running on the default port, on the address identified by the host name, you must specify where the listener is by setting the parameter local listener and registering. For example, alter system set local listener. So if the listener name is different, it's not listener. Alter system register. In this example, local listener has been specified by name. This name needs to be resolved into an address in order for the instance to find the listener and register itself as described. An alternative technique is to hard code the listener's address. So you can hard code the listener address by doing alter system set local listener, and you hard code the listener address by giving the loopback and that host name thing. This syntax is perfectly acceptable, but the use of a name that can be resolved is better practice, as it places a layer of abstraction between the logical name and the physical address. The abstraction means that if the listener address ever has to be changed, one need only change it in the name resolution service. Okay. Don't worry about the rest. That is OCP. Too advanced for us. Techniques for name resolution. I know we did name resolution before. So let's just see 2 words back there, and then after that we go to configure a listener and TNS names. And the rest will be history for this chapter for those who would like to read. Name resolution. At the beginning of this chapter, you saw that to establish a session against an instance, your user process must use a connect string. Yeah, we saw that word connect string. The string resolves to the address of the listener. So guys, the connect string, this is so important that we remember this, that connect string resolves to the address of the listener and the name of the instance or service. In this discussion of dynamic instance registration, you saw again the use of logical name for a listener, which needs to be resolved into a network address in order for an instance to find a listener in which to register. Oracle provides 4 methods. So we're going to learn to see some 4 methods here. Oracle provides 4 methods of name resolution. So people, everybody's going to write this down, 4 methods of name resolution. This one, everybody's going to mark them. 4 methods of name resolution. Number 1, easy connect. And number 2, so that's 1. And number 2 is local naming. And number 3, dynamic naming. And number 4, external naming. So those are the 4 methods of name resolution. Okay? Everybody write it on top of that page. 4 methods of name resolution. Just so you remember. I think if there's any tough question to come on this first chapter, will be about this, to ask you about this name resolution things. Apart from that, SQL is easy. So, then the note there says, it is probably true to say that the majority of Oracle sites use local naming. That's what we'll be using, guys. We'll be using local naming. But there is no question that directory naming is the best method. So directory naming is the best method for large, complex installations. As a matter of fact, when you see in the exam question, when the question comes up asking you, the answer would always be directory naming. That's for a very big company that have thousands of people using a database. They said the best method for name resolution is directory naming. So we'll look at that directory naming and let me see. Okay, what is easy connect? That makes it sound easy too. The easy connect name resolution method was introduced with 10G. It is very easy to use. So what does it require? Say it requires no configuration at all. So easy method, no configuration. But it is limited to one protocol, TCP. So that's the only drawback. You only use it with TCP. The other name resolution methods can use any of the other supported protocols such as TCP with secure socket, name pipes. Another limitation is that Easy Connect cannot be used with any of Oracle's nets. Okay, nets more advanced capabilities such as load balancing or connect time failover across different network routes. It is fair to say that Easy Connect is a method you as the DBA will find very handy to use, but it is not a method of much use for your end users. So guys, so for your end users, this is not a good method. Easy Connect is enabled by default. So by default, all the OBCs have Easy Connect. We're going to try that to see. Frankly speaking, I've never used it for anything. Never, ever, ever, ever. Maybe I will not teach you, I'll never even know the name. So, connect. So guys, simply say connect store. But I want you guys to note how the name goes, Easy Connect goes. So you do your SQL plus space / no log. As a matter of fact, you see here when you type, you could cancel all of these things. You simply type SQL plus store. Admin, add, look at that. Instead of a connect string, you give this whole thing. Looking at this, what do you see? That is instance name. Instance name, and this is the port, isn't it? Port, and this is the host name, the global host name. So you know you have the .co.com thing there, right? So let's see here. In this example, SQL Plus will use TCP, but that's all. This guy will use TCP. Go to port 1522 on the IP address to which the host name resolves. So this guy is your host name. Then, if there is a listener running on that port, an address, it will ask the listener to spawn a server process against an instance that is part of the service call, So that instance name, that is also called a service. Remember, this thing is also called a service. Sometimes you call it service name. As a matter of fact, they call it service name. Okay. Easy Connect can be made even easier. Oh, that's even the easy one. Connect store admin add, just give the machine name. That is assuming the default port 21, right? Because once you do that, it means you want to use port 1521. So you don't mention the port. This syntax will also work, but only if the listener running on this host is using port 1521 and the service name registered with the listener is blah, 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 blah. Oh, you know what? I missed something. Watch here. Yes. Go back, correct this error up here. Host name is this one. And this one is the service name. Yeah. Host name is just that. And the service name registered with the listener is blah, 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 blah. Okay, this whole thing here is, okay, the service name in this case is service name. Okay. But don't know what about Easy Connect. They've told us Easy Connect is only good for the DBA. Most people don't use it because it only uses TCP and we don't really care much about it. But it's an easy way to connect without you configuring the TNS names. That's what it is. Local naming is the most used, they told us. But for a very big company, it is directory naming. Okay, so let's just have a little clue. We're going to configure, we already configured this one, we're still going to do it again. Local naming. With local naming, the user supplies the alias. Guys, I'm going to highlight this in red. I want you guys to mark this. This thing called the alias, also known as Oracle Net Service alias. So with that, the user supplies that for the connect string. So you're giving that, guys, in place of your connect string. And the alias is resolved by a local file into the full network address, the protocol, port, and service instance. So when you do this one, in service naming, you provide your protocol, which is TCP IP. You must give the address, you must give your port number, and you give your service or instance name. This local file is the famous tnsnames.org. So for local naming, what you want to remember is these people. Everybody going to write up here the big red pen. TNS names. This is the first time we're writing this in class. tnsnames.org. The local naming uses tnsnames.org file. We're going to configure that file very, very shortly. tnsnames.org file. Inside that TNS name, you must define your protocol. You must define the port number, the address, and the instance name or service name, which has caused DBAs much grief over the years. Consider this example because DBAs grief. So guys, let's say typical TNS names. Look at this typical TNS names file. When you define it, you must give, the first thing you give there is actually the instance name, which is actually your service name. They end up calling the service name or the connect string. This actually end up being your connect string. And then you must specify your protocol, what kind of protocol you're using, and your host, the machine that the thing is running on, and what port you've decided. And that port must match, everything here must match what is in the listener. Then, you give a service name again. That service name is actually the instance name. And you see the good thing here, test, it's about the same thing there. So let's see the explanation. Once you understand this, then this is basically all you'll be doing as a mid-level DBA in a company. Okay, let's dissect it on the next page. This TNS name file has 2 Oracle Net service names. So, everybody watch. 2 Oracle Net service name aliases defined within each, OCP and test. So what are they? Let's go back to that file. So guys, so here, this guy and that guy. And what are they called again? Oracle what? You just read it. What are those 2 things called? Oracle Net Service. Oracle Net Service aliases. Those things, people, this guy and that guy are Oracle Net Services. Oracle Net Services. The first entry simply says that when the connect string is issued, your user process should use the TCP protocol to go to machine, blah, 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 blah. Okay. Everybody's tired. If I say you guys go read this, you guys going to read it? Okay. The second entry test directs users to a listener on a different machine and asks a session against an instance called GB test. So if you look at the next one, guys, that other one tells you something about DB test up there. There need to be no relationship between the aliases, the service name, and the instance name. I want you guys to watch. There's alias, there's service name, and there's instance name. There don't have to be a relationship between them, but most of the time we'll keep all of them the same. But for the sake of your sanity, hear that? For the sake of your sanity, you usually keep them the same. You see these 3 things? Guys, is something worth noting. The alias is that first thing, the service name, and the instance name. You could make all of them different, but for your sanity, you keep them the same as the database name as a matter of fact. Local naming supports all protocols and all the advanced features of Oracle Net. But maintaining TNS files on your client machines can be an extremely time-consuming task. Hey guys, Where is the TLS name located? On the client machine only. You will see that question in your exam probably. They ask you where is that file located? On your client machine. The TLS file is also notoriously sensitive to apparently trivial variations. Using the GUI tools will help solve the problem. So we use, okay. Let's just highlight one or two more things. I think that's it, and I'll just leave the rest, and I'll trust you guys to read the rest because I know it's not that important to me. And so, what's this directory naming stuff that you may see? Directory naming. Everybody highlight for me the first line. Directory naming points the user toward an LDAP directory server to resolve aliases. LDAP is a widely used standard that Oracle Corporation is encouraging organizations to adopt. Ha, ha, ha. Do you guys see that? What does LDAP stand for again? Lightweight Directory Protocol. To use directory naming, you must first install and configure a directory server somewhere on your network. You guys catch that? You're not dealing with Oracle now. So to use this one, some other people have to be involved in the company, often with desktop support. Oracle provides an LDAP server, the Oracle Internet Directory, as part of the Oracle Application Server. But you do not have to use that. If you already have a Microsoft, use your Microsoft Active Directory. We use Oracle's Internet Directory. That will be perfectly adequate. IBM and Novell also sell directory servers. Local naming, directory naming supports all the but unlike local naming, it uses a central repository. So directory naming uses a central repository. The directory server for all your name resolution details. What is a central repository? Everybody underline me this, highlight this section for me, because you may see it somewhere. Say that word central repository. The directory server. Hey, in other words, right? You work in a company where you have thousands of workers all using the same database. If you want to go with the names, with the TLS name method, you're going to put TLS name in 1,000 machines. That will kill you. That could just be all your job you're doing for that company. So, if you have 1,000 people, hundreds of people, Oracle recommends that you use this directory naming, which the company will create a server somewhere with that contains names of all the company's users. Then you only put your TLS name in that server. Then when users log on there, and if they have been given permission to connect to the database, they can connect through that central position, that central repository. So that you don't have to deal with 1,000 people. Okay? But to do that, you need Microsoft Direct. You need Microsoft, Microsoft Active Directory. You need Oracle Internet Directory. But guess what? I've always seen this. I've seen it just in 2 places where I worked. I haven't seen it in many places. So you have to work in a very big organization that they decide that people will use come straight to the database. But if you are connecting through an application, these days most applications are web, like this OEM, that you can just connect like that to the application server. The application will connect them to the database. All the same, let's go. External naming. What is that? What is external naming? I think that should be like towards our last thing here, where everybody gets bored, fall asleep, and hit Oracle. External naming is conceptually similar to directory naming, but it uses third-party naming services such as SONS, Network Information Service, NISP, or the cell directory services blah, 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 that are distributed CDP. The use of directories and external naming services is beyond the scope of OCP. You guys see that? So even in the other exam that comes for the OCP that we're going to write, even directory name is above that scope. So don't worry about that. Okay, listener control utility. Yay, this one has to do with what? Starting the listener. If you're ever asked, how do you start the listener? You better say, yes. You can start and stop. Everybody highlight that down there. The listener through the database control. But there is also a command line utility, LSNRCTL. The listener control utility command can run directly from an operating system prompt. Very simple. Let's go to the next page. Okay, second paragraph. Note the status command. Wait. Why did they take us straight to status command? Okay. Note the status command always tells you the address on which the listener accepts connection. So when you type LSNRCTL status, it will give you that information and give you the name and location of the listener.ora file. That defines the listener and the name and location of the log of guys. In other words, people, the listener has a log file. Yes, has a log file. When you look at a log file, you know who is connecting, who did connections and they failed. Okay. Let's swing down to the box down there. Everybody look at the box down at the bottom of page 146. If you're on page 146, LSNRCTL status list 2. Because they have a listener called list 2. Okay? So you're checking for the status. Whenever you type that, okay, you keep your eyes open, then you see it says, it will give you a lot of jargons, but you see no listener. Often when I type it, that's what I'm looking for. Say no listener, I know there's no listener running. But watch, most importantly, when you type that, it will always give you the port number on which the listener is running and the host. Let's go down to the next section. I think next the guy types start. Type that listener. So everybody watch, when you start the listener, if you ever doubt the port on which you are listening, your listener is listening, just start it or type status, and you are going to see that port like here at the end, port 1522. And we even tell you the host name somewhere. Yes, host name, give you your host name, give you your protocol, give all those things that are inside. And then the listener supports no service. What is this line down here? It's not listening to any database. You see that? So it's not doing any work right now for anybody. Let's go to the next page and see what the next page doing. Hey, guys, oops. Yep. Next page. If you simply type the word LSNRCTL with nothing, it means you want to log inside the listener control utility. You see that? So you log inside, then you could run all the commands from there. So if you log inside there, it gives all that long output for nothing. Of course, when you log inside, you can do this. Yeah, I see stop down here. You could type stop. You stop the listener. You can exit the thing. But most importantly, after you type that command, you can even type help. It will show you all the commands. all the possible listener commands. Why didn't you put it here? All right. Okay. Let's go to the next. Let's see the next section down here. What are they doing down here? Oh, what's this one? The services command. Let's see here. See this thing on the side. The services command shows the services for which the listener will accept connection. So if you type inside the listener control, you type services listener. It will tell you the services it could accept. Now in this particular case, it can accept for that particular database, and this one, and that one. It will tell you what databases it is listening for in reality. But who cares? Let's go to the next page. If you go to the next page, further down on that page, or this one, you type that help command. If you ever forget the listener commands, just type lsnrctl help. When you type that, guys, the most used command, start, stop, status. Those are the three most used. Then, what about reload? Let's say you change some parameters, you go inside the listener file and change some things there manually, right? While the listener is running. You can come back outside, you go type listener reload. You read that file again, that's shutting down the listener. That's what that guy will do. And if you're tired of the thing, you can exit or quit. Both commands do the same thing. I know there's a password. What is the password? Yes. You could even change this thing. You could give it a password if you want to. But if you get security, sometimes they tell you don't do that. You do that, it's going to give you the biggest headache on earth. So, oh, but what? Let's see that change password. I want to see. Change password. Set a password for the listener administration. You see that? So what do you mean? If you set this one right, not everybody can shut down your listening except they know the password. Then that reload rereads. That one rereads the entry. It means if you change that thing manually. Then let me see options. You can type listener show you all the listeners that have been saved. So guys, this is what page 148. This is how big a book is. 1 month. When I look at this book, I know it should be 1/3 gone on that book. Or one quarter, yeah, or exactly 1 quarter. Configuring services and aliases. Let's go to the next section. We are going to log in now to the database and we're going to do this section because we did the listener already. And this one, is there anything for me to read here? And that section tells us, everybody highlight for me the second line. You can do this through database control, but since database control is a server-side process, you can use it only to configure clients running on the server. An alternative is to use Net Manager. So use Net Manager, guys. This is a standalone Java, blah, blah, who cares? So that is Java. Launch Net Manager, guys. To launch Net Manager, we run Net MGR from a Unix prompt or a Windows command line. Then they say this thing provides some branches that have trees, who really cares. Let everybody go down. The other thing I wanted to highlight down there, when you select the profile branch, as shown in that, you are in fact configuring, whoa, I wanted to highlight this one. You select the profile branch, you are in fact configuring SQLnet.org. This file exists by default in your Oracle Home Network. Same place with that guy. It is optional. So this is an optional file, guys. as there are defaults for every SQLnet directive. But you will usually configure it if only to select the name resolution method. Okay, don't worry about that. We're not going to worry about that guy. Go to the next page. Oh, and by the way, while on this page, everybody should circle this on this diagram. This is that name, service naming. That's where we're going to configure that stuff. When you log into Net Manager, we're going there. Swing to the next page for me. And on that next page, the only thing I'll show you here is this. What does a typical, highlight me that line, a typical entry in the TNS name file would look like this. Guys, everybody, every DBA knows this. You should know these lines. That's what a typical TNS name entry looks like. If a user enters the connect string, so you keep seeing that word connect string, connect string, connect string. And in this case, guys, when they talk about connect strings, what they're talking about is, that is a connect string. Connect string. And that same connect string K is this thing right here. That's a connect string. When you say at, you give the connect string, which you've configured inside the TNS names. So whenever I say that at, whatever I'm giving you, you know it's in my TNS name file. The equivalent of Easy Connect. So if you decided to use your Easy Connect that we saw, which is not too flexible, so your connect string now would be this whole thing here. So this whole thing would be like your connect string. That whole thing would also be like connect string for you. Okay, hey, this is so important now. It's a line that is hidden down here, but this is a line that will save you your job. Everybody highlight me this line with a big nice red. Then you get there, you stop there, and you change colors. You pick me TNS ping utility. Everyone must know TNS ping. I know we know ping already. Use ping to test if the machine is available online. You guys remember that, right? So TNS ping is to see if the connect string is active, is reachable. This will accept a connect string, locate the Oracle net files, resolve the string, and send a message to the listener. Wow. You guys see what that little statement will do? Powerful. Everybody highlight that. If the listener is running and does know about the service requested, the test will return successful. Guys, for example, say a typical example is given to us down here. TNS ping OCP 11G. You want it to end up with this thing. That is the good result. See that K? You must, no, not that. You must, when you type that TNS ping, oops, I lose my thing. Here, you type that, you want to see it end with that word, okay. That's all, that will tell you that it's working. So guys, that is the answer you want to see. If it returns any other thing, you know that TNS name is not well configured, or the database is down or something. TNS ping gmail.com. TNS ping, you can write to TNS ping gmail.com because it's not in your listener. It's not in your TNS names. So if you put class T in your TNS name, then you could do ping class T or TNS ping class T. And after that, next page. What does next page give us? That thing is never ending, right? What page is that? What page am I on? I think through on the other side. Okay, on page 151. file names and TNS admin environment variable. You guys remember we said Oracle Home, Oracle C, Oracle Base, those are environment variables. There's one environment variable I did not put the intention, and it is the TNS name admin. So we just see that now. Already we know what those variables are. So everybody, if you're on page 151 with me, are you there, Kay? Good. File names and TNS name environment. There are 3 critical files involved. Guys, this is so important. This is the part. If I have to do this, let's say I was doing this on the practical side that I know, right? The first thing I could have done is I could have tell you something like this. SQLnet deals with 3 files. And these 3 critical files are the listener.aura, the tnsname.aura, and SQLnet.aura. That's what I could have told you. And you configure these 3 files using 3 methods: manually, net manager, and netcam. And if you have all the previous OEM, you could play with them inside OEM to a little bit. Then, when you configure the listener, oh, but by the way, and this is the part you see in the Oracle exam, the listener file, guys, is a server-side file. That is most important line you need to know here. Server-side. Look at that. Everybody do that. You underline that server-side. So I don't have to write it down. They're all tied up. That defines the database listeners. It includes protocols. So what is inside the listener? The protocol, the addresses, and the ports from which they will listen for incoming. Guys, listen. What does the listener do? Here, for the first time, the book actually tells us again what the listener does. Listen for incoming connection request. And optionally, no, listen for incoming connection request. That's what I need. That's the job of the listener. Listen for incoming connection request, then spins up server processes. And optionally, a hard-coded list of instances against which they will be launched, or they will launch sessions. Now, TNS names. What's inside the TNS names? The TNS name file is a client-side. Guys, nobody should miss this. Client-side file. And I'm going to underline this again. Used for name resolution. It is used by user processes to locate database listener. Guys, you want to remember this. This is all you really need to remember. Nothing more about this thing. Nothing much more. It may also be used by the instance itself to locate a listener with which to register. So the TNS name can be on the server itself, but it is mostly meant to be on the client side, while the listener.aura is on the database server. So you're going to have a trick question in the exam. Where are those files located? Listener, server only. Where the database is located is never on the client machine. Then what about the SQLnet.aura? Number one thing, optional, means you don't really need it. It doesn't have to be there. And exists on the server side and the client side. See that? May exist on server and client side, or both. Contain settings that apply to all connections and listeners, such as security rules and encryption. Then, I will also write one thing below there on that particular file, everybody. I'll put another dot for that file. Used mostly for troubleshooting. We use this file for troubleshooting. Yeah, that one.
It's not working.
It's not working? You just have to wiggle it at some angle. Bend your head on one side, don't go till your head on the other side. Database connectivity. Guys, often if you're trying to connect your database with the connect string and you're not connected, you call Oracle Corporation. Often connectivity issues, when they happen, it can take you days to resolve them. It will ask you, go to the SQLnet.org, put some entries, and then run, try to connect, or create some log files, and send the log files to Oracle. You look at them to be able to tell you what is wrong.
Like you send in the
trace files. Yes. As a matter of fact, you produce log files are actually trace files. Where you trace the connection. They see where it's stopping. The 3 Oracle Net files, guys. This SQLnet was taught, they are bad guys. These are 3 files. 3 files. My architecture. The 3 files are, did I put all of them here? How I did? Dun, 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 dun. I have tnsname.aura, listener.aura, and I did not put SQLnet. Because that's SQLnet.aura can be on the client or the database. But the 2 mandatory ones are listener.aura first and tnsname. tnsname is used by users to connect, so it's on the client machine. The listener is on the server, spinning up those server processes. So just for the fact that you know that listener spins up server processes, it's on the server. You want to listen. Okay. Let's see. Where are the files located? Oracle Home Network Admin. We saw that before, right? Where are these 3 files located? Guys, by default, they exist in Oracle Home Network Admin. It is possible to relocate them with an environment variable. So guys, you can keep them somewhere else you want to. But if you need to, then you must set that environment variable called TNS underscore admin. An important use of this is on systems that have several Oracle homes. So if you have many Oracle homes, then you want to put your TNS name, your TNS name and listener in some different location. This is a very common situation. A typical Oracle server machine will have at least 3 homes. One of the enterprise manager grid control agent, one for launching database instances, and one for launching automatic storage management instances. ASM is covered in OCP, but we're going to do ASM in class. Client machines may well have several Oracle homes. Hear that? Can somebody tell me if this line is confusing? He said, oops. He said the client machine may have several Oracle homes. What does that mean? Hey, if you guys don't know, we install the Oracle server on the server machine, right? If we need to, this machine to connect to that server machine was install the Oracle client in its own Oracle home. Because Oracle home is simply a name for the location of the Oracle software. So it could be server software or client software. Setting TNS name variable to point to one set of files in one of the Oracle home directories means that instead of having to maintain multiple sets of files, you need to maintain only one set. So that's the reason, guys. To set the variable, this is how you set it in Windows. Everybody watch here. You want to set your variable for your TNS name in Windows, you type something like set TNS name or TNS underscore admin equals, you give the path. So you want those 3 files to stay. Then set then in Windows, Linux, I did not use the word set. On Linux and Unix, the syntax will vary depending on the shell. Okay, yes. So depending on the shell. But something like this will usually go. You see how they use set? Normally, we will not use set. TLS, admin equals that, export that. That's it. This command could be placed in each user's .profile. You see here, I call it .profile, not .by profile. That's what I meant. Or in the etc profile. What? Remember for the etc, we saw etc home. You remember? When you put anything inside the etc folder, right, means everybody can use it. It's global. You get the point? If there's a variable that I want everybody on the machine to use, the system will set it inside etc profile. So we could actually put all our Oracle environment files in there. Means anybody who logs into that machine has access to our Oracle home. Because the .bash profile entries are now in etc profile. Okay, let's see. Hey, we're almost done, almost done. Look at that diagram. I won't go through that diagram. I can let you guys look at it later. So guys, what are they telling us here? User process initiates a connection. So guys, you initiate a connection. Is a connect string specified? If false, is Oracle seed specified? If false, error, cannot resolve connect string. That's the error you'll get. But if Oracle home is specified, use Oracle seed as connecting string. Okay, and then it can come here. Then is TNS admin specified? If false, is Oracle home specified? If false, error. If true, it will connect, blah, blah, blah. Okay, that's just diagram, it really cares. Let's see, next section. Let me see. If there's another thing on this page. The user typically initiates a connection to the database server by providing a username, a password, and a connect string. So everybody should know this. Before you connect to every database, you must provide a couple of things: username, password, and a connect string. You have to provide those. If a connect string is absent, Oracle Net Client layer tries to use the Oracle seed environment variable or registry variable as a default connect string. If this is not set, okay, it's just explaining that diagram that was shown on the other side. So forget that, we shouldn't go through that. Let me see if there's anything important in here that we should talk about. Let's see here. I see something about easy connect. Let's see here. I see some new word here, easy connect. It's not? Okay. Typically, SQLnet.org contains names.directory path directive, which lists in order of preference the different connection name resolution mechanisms like TNS name, LDAP, and Easy Connect. If TNS name is listed as the first preferred mechanism, Oracle Net then tries to locate the famous, so they keep calling it the famous TNS names. File, blah, 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 blah. Hey, in other words, inside that SQLnet.org, right, you go inside list the preferred connection methods. You want them to use naming method first, or the LDAP, that's that directory thing, which is above the scope of our whole life, or the Easy Connect method. That's all. Database links. Let's see what's the database link. Is that the end? Come on, that chapter is not ending, right? I thought it was. Anyway, let me see what time it is. At 10 o'clock, I will stop and we do, as much for every other thing here, apart from database links. I think after database link, yes, we don't have to talk about the rest of it. What is this Oracle database link? Let's talk about that. What is a link? So far, OracleNet has been discussed. OracleNet OracleNet can also be used for communication between databases. I want to highlight that line. A user session against one database can execute SQL statements against another database. That's what it is. Very important. We're going to use this thing. This is done through a database link. So by that, there are several options for creating database links. But the simple one is, hey, what is a database link? After reading that little statement, that seems to confuse the whole thing. What's a database link? Can anybody say, reading those 3 lines? OracleNet can also be used for communicating between databases. The user session against one database can execute SQL statements. So guys, very simple, right? The database link establishes communication between 2 databases. Everybody write that down somewhere. Let's just write it here. I'll say establishes communication. Oh, the fan? Okay, I thought it was what? Between 2 databases. Okay, bad writing there, but you can use that. So 2 databases, guys. 1 database there, 1 database in New York. You can log on a database in Washington, right? Through a database link, you query the database in New York. That's it. Very powerful. We're going to use that for backup. We're going to use that for a whole lot of things. Database link. But how do you create that thing? It's easy. There are different ways, but create database link, prot store, connect to, store identified by, do identified by. That. Very simple. We're going to do this when you get to doing backups. So here, I think they just mention it for mentioning sake. So don't worry about database link. We're going to talk about that later. When we start using, then it will make much more sense. Let me see the next slide. Then there's an exercise there. Configure OracleNet. Yes, I think that's the exercise we should do. Then you know everything we have studied so far. So everybody log onto your, yes, it's exactly 10 o'clock. We're not going to do any more, you see. No, I'm not going to do any more reading. Yeah, we finish the most important thing. Let's all log on to our databases and we're going to create a listener with a different name. We're going to start the listener. We're going to do the TLS name is the only thing we have not done. Then we are going to log into our machines to see the listener. What is it? Look, Brace, can I check to see if you see what she's talking about? Let me come. What? No, Barry? Thank you so much. Huh? Unbelievable. Okay, so together, everybody, let's see what we can do. Log into your machine, go to next. No, everyone log into your machine, and the first thing I want you to do is go to your Oracle Home Network admin. Let's go see where the listener and TLS name file and SQLNet files are located. There are 3 files in there somewhere, and we should see where they are located.
Should I save it?
Restart the machine.
I did do something.
Okay, if everybody's in there, if you are in there, everyone. I want you, your machine died finally. Okay. So let me see if this one.
See?
Yeah, he didn't bring his
Oh, okay.
battery charge. Let me see if this still works. It could not be able to connect into the machine there. What's the machine? But it's not coming up. What? Actually, you have a match. Never seen that. Okay, everybody go to Oracle Home, Network Admin, are you there? So what file do you see in there? Okay. Yeah, the other file is not there. Sure. Okay. It came up, right? Okay. So log in, type CD $ Oracle Home, Oracle _ home, all in caps, / admin. Oracle Home. Okay, it's almost time for us to go. Okay, so let me join you guys. So what I wanted to do, everybody, is to go look at let's go look at our Oracle Net files. So it's simple: CD $ Oracle underscore home / network. If I start typing and I hit tab, watch what will happen. I hit tab, I finish typing that other variable. Then hit tab, and I'm right there. And those are the 3 files inside that directory. Listener.ora, tnsname.ora are the files that I'm concerned with. Let me just look for curiosity what is inside this shared file. A whole bunch of things, but I don't really care about them. I know I've used this file once in my whole life, but for us, for now, we don't care. So we have this file. What I want, everybody just look at mine. So now I can do, let me do more on TNS. No, I want to do VI. I really want to change it and you guys see how it works. To do it manually, we said there are 3 ways to edit this file. So the manual way, I could just type VI TNS names, it opens. Watch here. So I have 2 databases inside. I could decide to add another connect string. Let me add it for class T database. Means I'll call my class T database something else. Let's say I really want to call this one. This database is actually my test database. So I can say test equals. No, let me put test. I'll copy from here. Everything has to be the same. Paste, oops, excuse me. Copy that, paste that down there, and escape, column WQ. Oops, it's caps, right? Should be lowercase. WQ. So now, guys, I can do this. TNS ping. Let me test the first one you guys see. TNS ping class T. It says what? Failed to resolve name. Did you guys see that? What did I do? Oh, can I see? I spelled it with 1 T.
1 S.
1 S, thank you. So let me add another S. And now it tells me, okay. So it took 0 millisecond to bounce, to touch that database and come back. That's what it is. So it'll give you the time, how long it took, the latency to go to that database and come back to you. So because I'm on the same server and everything, so there's nothing. So now, everybody watch this now. Let me do TNS ping. I call that database now test. It still gives me the same thing. You guys see that? It's the same exact thing. But now, for me to connect to that database, now I can type something like SQL plus system /sys app test. It will log me into that database. You guys see it? Same thing. Let's say I actually did that and I spelled it wrong. It's going to tell me could not resolve the connect identifier. You guys see that? Because that one does not exist in there. Okay, that doesn't exist in there, so it's going to fail. So I hit enter a couple of times, I can get out. Then, so what I want you guys to do, everybody log in, edit it manually, and try that. Let's, no, you guys will take forever. Let's do it later on. Those who can do it, you can log in and do it manually and just play with it. You spoil nothing. If it gets bad, guys, watch this. That's the file. I can type rm TNS. That file is gone, isn't it? Once I go to Net Manager and I run that, I can recreate it back in Net Manager or NetCar. NetCA, for example. So if I type NetCA, that thing should come up in a heartbeat. When you use mobile, it takes a little while for those things to come up. So now, guys, I want to use, notice, I want to use naming methods. I'm not configuring the listener. I want to use that guy. So I go there and I hit that, and I hit tab. Then it asks me select the naming method. Wait, let me go back. I want to see something. Local name service name configuration, naming methods configuration. Yes. Okay, I want to use that guy. So I go there, ask me to select one, and I pick local naming. And if I go next, naming methods configuration complete. Oops. I know that's Hang on, I want to go back. I want to go back. I think it's local. I think it's that guy. But yes, that guy. So he asked me here, to access an Oracle database or other service across the network, you use a net service name. The Oracle Net Configuration Assistant allows you to work with net service names resolved by local naming. Say add, because there's nothing to delete. So I say add. We ask you my service name. Each Oracle database or service has a service name. An Oracle database's service name is normally its global database name. Enter the service name. That's the global is one that has something like .com on it. Okay, but I don't have that, so I'll just keep my class T. And I'm going to go next. And TCP is what I'm using. I go next. Host name means my machine name. Machine on which that thing is running. I know it is, my machine is, if you forget your host name, how do you get it? Just come back here and this is it. Mine is test 30. So I could come back here and I enter is test 30, or I could enter the IP address. Okay. Port. If I decide to use a different port, I could come here. I could make it 1527. Who cares? You change the port. Then you go, would you like to test to verify that it's working? I'll say yes, test it for me. Then I go next, and it's going to fail. No listener. You guys see that? It tells me no listener. So, some of the information you provided may be incorrect, or there is no listener. So people, I need to go test if I have a listener. I'll open another tab. And I'll do, how do I test if my listener is running? Who remembers? LSNRCTL. Yep, it's going to fail because it's in caps. LSNRCTL stat. I could just do that. And what's that? Bad boy says running. Either I spelled it wrong or something went wrong. So I want to see host name 30. How come he said he couldn't find that thing? No, I did status. You see that? I did status, I did not do start. So let's go back. Let's go back to where am I running, testing that thing. There is no listener. Listen, let's go back and check. Maybe I missed something. Test 30. Oh, you guys know why? Everybody watch. You see that port? Yes, thank you. My listener has a, my listener is listening on port 1521. So the TLS name must have the listener, the port in the listener. Must. If not, it's going to say, I don't know you. It's more like you came to this house, to this building, right? But you don't know what door to get in. So we go back right here, and I need to change it to 1521. And I go next, test it. Now it gave me a different message. Username, password, logon denied. That tells me my configuration is correct. It's just that it's trying to log in as a user called Scott. Where is that? You try to log in as a user called Scott. It's some default user, but or system, but the password is not correct. So I could do this. System, okay, let me change that to 6. Click OK and do, yeah, see successful. Now I can go next. Then here it is. Enter a name for this net service. At this point, it can be any name you want on earth. I could call it accounting. I could call it whatever. But you see, by default, it keeps the instance name. You see that? But if you want to drive yourself crazy, you can change it to other things. Then you have many, many names to remember. So this can be any name you want. So I'll just leave it that way for now. And I will go next. And would you like to configure another service? No. Go that, next, finish, and I'm done. So now guys watch. If I do LL, No, where was that? Yeah, if I go back here, oops, where was I before? Now I can see I just had a new listener created at 10:17. A new TNS name. Everybody go. Let's go create a TNS name. Everybody log. Net manager. Let's see how did we do? Did it come up even? Let's move my fix. Have you seen Mobile X ask you for? Do you need an account to log in Mobile X? Okay, go net manager. You net manager? Yeah. So everybody should go to net manager. You need to configure. As a matter of fact, everybody, once you do that, let's do that exercise. We got 15 minutes. Everybody go to net manager. Net manager. Oh, okay, let's do net CA. Just okay, you are net CA. That's fine. Let's go net CA. Everybody go create one called test. Create a net service called test. Let's see. Okay, you guys just follow that. I don't think this thing will work. Just work with this. This is a dead machine.
TCP, right?
Mm-hmm.
TCP, right?
Yes.
Yes, TCP. Use TCP protocol.
What do you mean?
No, I didn't test.
Your database name is class T, right? Oh, you are pasting.
What's the name class?
What does it ask you there?
What's the name?
Host name cannot be class T. What's your host name? What's the name of your machine? So enter that at your host name, different from
Oh, we should perform the test, right?
yeah. You test, that's when you know when I fail or succeed. Because you type netca, you solve the batch profile. First, once you type that command, it says nothing, so you need to sort with the batch profile. Batch, you underscore profile. You need to source. So read the reason, then you try to figure out, okay, how do I fix this? Give you a reason. It doesn't just say it does not succeed. What did you say? I mean, is it on the database on this machine? On this machine. Did it come up now? After I saw the back profile. What's the third? No. Yeah, the third one is sourcing the branch profile. So what was the error?
This is A.
All right.
Net services name. It's a feedback to the details. We should provide it for net service name.
What was the error?
Hold on, 12.541.
Okay, so for you, open another window and go check your listeners' room. And if you're using the right port. So what did he say? Yeah, change it to system. Did it come over all? Maybe database is going to be installing. Yeah, you don't have a database at all. You see that? They try to see gives Oracle from nothing. You are doing today with whom? Okay. Yeah, you should be able to do it.
That problem.
For sure, I'm doing
When it shut off, it didn't. I was at the point where I had to check. So here it was just put.
Ah, okay.
So when I was unchecking, it was just no meaning of it.
So you have this.
Yeah, this is underneath the progress that I checked.
So you already have this complexity.
CD software.
I don't have to do anything.
No.
Software. Very slow. Do something. Now you will not feel that's good for that. So these things like and install. Look okay. You can see those some of those. There's some of those things. Like, you can fix it. You can use this. Oops. Use it. Oops. Manual. Okay.
Prof, what we were picking at the start was local net service name configuration, right?
Yes. It doesn't. Because right to the see together this much. In the directory. generated all those scripts to fix all the problems there. So you skip a lot of things. Yeah, okay. Let's check it. Down here we have a lot of things. You do this, that's just making the you delete this one. That goes, so if you look at universities that have these names, GCC, see like that first one that is the dictator of GCC plus something. See GCC, then GCC, and some of these positions for numbers. When that finishes, one mistake again. It finishes right because it is check. Just write this name. Okay.
Or is there any other two you're doing?
You finish. So you got 2 more minutes. Go to that exercise. Let's look at that exercise. Yours did not go. What was the error? Did yours go?
Saying something about the service name.
Okay, so let's see.
We make it a contest. That'd be pretty. I think you already made
We
it.
shall not have plus plus. Not have plus plus. That's when we use what we do, we use not it's not that plus plus different things. Something we install. But it has an English. Simple was here. So it was 2 lines. So you just copied it You only run that line and you run this line separately, break it up. So you didn't install that second section. Yes, I can just install it. So if you can join, there should be no errors. It shows that. It should be no error. Nothing to do. How come? Yep. Things were missed. Right in the beginning.
So now if you do, yeah. Yeah. So if you copy from the
So, okay, go to that exercise. What did you want us to do? When yours worked, they help somebody. Yours worked, do testing. How do you test it? TNS pin, enter that name. The name that the service name that you just created, did yours work now?
Yeah.
Did you know how to do the testing? TNS pin, you enter the name of what you did. That should give something. TNS pin, you created a service name. What was the service name called? TNS pin maybe class T or class P or something. So that goes just to recheck or check and run again. Just by missing that thing, it happen in hours. Yeah, when you guys run it, you
Use
miss.
the class name in capital letters.
It's not case sensitive. But typically when you do that seed name, we'll just put it in caps. It takes you no time. So, let me see that exercise. What does it say? Create a directory to be used for the Oracle Net configuration files and set the TNS name admin variable.
it's not 4.1.
Hmm?
It's not 4.1.
Yeah, that's 4.1. That's what I'm reading. Make directory, blah, 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 blah. Export, ensure that all work from now is done from a session where the variable has been set. Ooh. Okay, they show the Windows one. Check TNS names. Hint. Yes, I got the right side. TNS pin class T, what does it give you? It should end with, it should give you okay towards the end. If it doesn't give you okay, then it did not succeed.
Okay. Where you have it.
And that is it for this chapter. Just want you guys to get a concept. When you did TNS pin what? The one you did, the one you created was what? Was it test or class T? TNS pin one word. If you type TNS pin, TNS ping class T. It should give like, okay, 10 milliseconds or 10 something.
Yeah.
Because you're doing that because you know it is in your TNS names. You're not just putting anything at random. If you put something that is not in your in your TNS name, it's going to tell you, just like that, it's going to tell you fail to resolve name. So it must be something that you configured.
How do you check?
Go to your TNS names. CD, Oracle Home, I think everybody was there already. CD $. Emma, go to CD $ Oracle underscore home.
After I've had the okay.
Oh, you have, okay, yeah, but just go there. We're going to go look at the file and see what you did. Because if you don't, you have to look at the file to say, okay, this is what I did. CD $ Oracle Home. If you type LL, you're going to see network, CD network. Remember to use the tab key. You don't have to keep typing everything. And then if you do more on that TNS name file, you should see what you did inside. You see? You should see 2 entries in yours. What did I ask you to create? Yours was test. I said create one called test, right? Did you?
My connection timed out, so I checked the TNS file, and it shows my my new configuration.
Shows your new connect string.
But it doesn't show me my listener for it.
Of course, the listener is different. If you type LL, you see listener.ora, tnsname.ora.
Okay, all right. So yeah, I see the listener for that one too.
So now, if I create a new one from this one manually, K. So you do vi.tns name, right? It should open. It's just a copy. Copy that whole thing. I want to create one now for me called test, just like you guys. So now say test. What does it give you? Of course, it should not give you anything. If it doesn't give you anything, means it was correct. When you type Linux command, if it gives you nothing, then no, the command is correct. If you type CD, CD will never tell you successful. So type LL. After CD, LL. LL, then you see what is in that directory where you are. Well, if you want to see the directory where you are, you type PWD, right? So, you see what I did? I just changed my name and I call it something else. Then if I quit that thing, and now if I type TNS ping test that I just did, it should tell me that same thing, okay. That's how you configure the TNS name. After that, the next thing I could have asked you to do is, let's go add another port
So
in the
after
listener.
my LL, I can go back to this system now by typing in
I am in network admin.
VI
I'm
or TNSP.
no. When you type L, what do you see? Listen, Emma, you type L, right? First LL is yeah. So then you see, if you want to type VI or what, you must see the file. If you don't see the file, then you cannot be typing VI. But you're going to network admin. If you're in Oracle Home, you must now go to network admin. Look in there. Look the file that you saw. You should see network somewhere. They are arranged alphabetically. If you look at those things, you should see network. So you gotta move your mouse up and down. You're going to see network. They arrange A, B, C going down. You see where N is, you should see network if you're in the right place. There's some directory you must remember tonight. Oracle Home Network Admin, you must remember that directory. So go into that directory and then see what is there. Then you go into the other directory and then you see what is there. You're looking for TNS name. So keep going till you go find TNS names. Keep going down. You got. So now, tnsnames.ora. When you get there, you must see tnsname.ora. You gotta type LL, you should see TNS name. If you don't see TNS name, then you're not in the directory yet. Did yours work now? You did the manual edit? And it worked. Good. So that's the whole idea. Then now our listener is just listening to port 1521. If you need to add another port, what do? Now you could go to, what is that thing called? Is it Net Manager? Yeah. Did you get to that directory, Emma? Remember I type CD, you must type LL, and you look, and you see if you can recognize something. You're in Oracle Home, you have to do CD into network. Did you do that?
That's where.
Then, did you type LL?
That's network admin.
Yeah. Then you type LL. Then you should see those 3 files of concern, or 2. Now you should see the listener, you should see the TNS name.
Yeah.
So do more on the TNS name. More space tnsname.ora. It should show you the content. Okay.
First time.
Oh. So if you're here, see if you want to add another port, you just go here. See where I say address? Okay, see I add another port. You come here, you have this address, just add address. Now you can make 1533. Who cares? Give a different port. Then you save it. You file, save network configuration, exit. Now if I do more on that listener.ora, I can now see port 1533. That's port 1533. Did you see the TNS name?
Yeah.
Did you do more on it? How many TNS name entries are there? You see, like if you look at mine, if I do more on my TNS names, I have 2 entries. One, listen, this is 1 and this is 2. Whatever is up here is my connect string. That's, okay, what are your 2 called? I have class T and I have test. What are you? Okay. BTech and which one? So you have 2. See, this is 1 entry. Look at my screen. And the next one is the other entry. So my connect string, your connect string is the first thing on the entry. Whatever you have first is your connect string. So when you look at it, you know that that is the thing that I can do TNS ping for that. This is the thing I can do that when you do connect, you enter that at, you're entering this thing. Whatever you see here, that is the thing that is of concern. That is what you did TNS ping on. If you want to connect your database right now, I can use that test. Which one do you see?
DIT.
And which one now? Listen, I'm reading just this.
Class T. The first one is the class T.
Okay, then
the second one is the BI.
So do TNS ping BI tech, whatever you see there, and see if it says okay. It says okay, and then you know it's working fine. TNS ping. TNS PING. TNS. All right. So with that,
wait, TNS ping dot what?
TNS ping space. The name, the connect string that you saw in there, you told me was
okay, the second one, the PI.
it's your own. I don't even know what it is. If that's what it is, enter that. If it says okay, then
For some reason, I did not manually I colon WQ, but when I TNS pin into the test, it gives me a connection to it.
then you did not copy it correctly. Yes, you must copy everything. Listen, you see this?
Yeah.
If you miss one thing, it will not work.
Yes, I've done it.
What does it say?
Okay, 7 minutes.
Okay, then means it's working. But that is how you test it to see. If it says okay, then you can use it to connect to a database, to that database. Because it gives you the host name, the port number, and the service name here is the database name that you're trying to connect to. So, but that connect string does not matter what it is. It can be anything. It can be anything like, for example, I can even just call my TT. Doesn't matter. I can put TT and I make the entry that same thing. Oops. If I do escape, colon WQ. Now if I do TNS ping TT, it should say okay. So that thing can be anything. It doesn't matter what it is. A connect string, you choose whatever you want it to be and you put it there. So if it's an accounting department, you could call that connect string accounts. If it's the inventory, you could call it inventory. So that when they're logging in, they simply do that inventory and they'll connect to it. So you make it a meaningful name to the people who will be using it. That's why they keep that name so flexible. But that is used to connect to a database. That's all. Use a connect string to connect to a database. Without a connect string, you cannot connect to a database remotely. So with that, we can call it quit for the night. But the biggest thing, I hope you wrote down TNS ping and where it came from the book. Because you don't want to come tomorrow and I say TNS ping, you say, what is that? Everybody, you must leave here knowing what TNS ping is. It's in that textbook, we highlighted it, we underlined it. You want to remember. See, just as you use ping to test if a computer is available on the network, right? You also use TNS ping to test if we could access a database. And what does TNS stand for? Transparent Network Substrate. But that is
Transparent thing to do or to...
No. TNS ping to test if a database is available or if you can access a database on the network. You put why do you put a space there? Don't you notice the space between the two? Once that is there, it's like it doesn't know. And now, I'm doing something like this from test. What you added is test. Yep, hit enter. And that's your problem. You must put that space. Just that space and it will make that thing fail. Okay, guys. So let's call it quit for the night. Go home. You must remember TNS ping. You want to write it down. Remember what it is. Everybody.
Oh, this.
Just have to clean it. Nah. Mazula will clean it tomorrow. I know he was doing something on it. I don't know what. You can look at it again for me. Why it crashed today? Wait. Did the other one work?
Good night, everybody.
Yeah,
Okay, good night, Mr. K.
I did TNS ping of tech to work.
Yeah, you don't have the tech in here.
I do have it. I have like 4 of them.
Oh, okay.
That's right there.
Then no. You don't have a database with that name. You don't have anything with that name.
All right, good night.
Oh yeah, no. Hey, good night,
That
Jordan.
one is the
Come
exercise.
tomorrow early.
Okay.
Oh yeah, that's the exercise. So the one that you did today was this one here.
Yeah. So what I did was I copied class T.
Do you have a database? Is that database running?
Yeah.
Or class T?
Yeah, class T drawing. Then I changed the name.
You
now.
change just that.
Yeah. Then
Okay.
Okay, good
All my
night.
stuff right
So now what happens? Yeah. So what happens if you do TNS thing class T?
Thank you, Prof. Good night.
Yeah, good night. Yeah, so tomorrow I'll be here a little bit early.
I hope I don't forget that.
Okay.
just put your charger
Thank
in
you
your
so much.
pocket.
Okay, when you go and put it in your bag. So, but here, see, it's not working. Even the class T is not working. So you didn't,
Someone has always been there.
yeah, but it's not working. You do TNS ping on it, it doesn't go anywhere. Host name, that's wrong. I think your host name be class T. You get the point? Yeah. See, everywhere put your, yeah, your host name is test 34. That's why that, even that one is failing, same thing. With that, notice if I did not put ampersand, if I do that, that thing closes. If I had ampersand, it will not close. Then I work.
Yeah.
If we do test, works. Yeah, was looking at the wrong server. We're going for a server called that.
Class.
So that is it for yes. Now you could add the listener, you could create these things, and then that's it. You see here, I did show parameter local. It's a local listener. It doesn't give a name. If it gave a name, then we don't have to configure that TNS name. Or rather, we don't have to add the database to the listener. No, we don't have to add the database to the listener. Right. And that book told us how you could give this some value if you want to. Oops, let me do